Hey guys, it's Mrs. Kleinley with this week's First Chapter Friday. This week, I'm very excited to be talking to you about Belly Up by Stuart Gibbs. Stuart Gibbs may ring a bell. We have several of his books, primarily found in our mystery, adventure, and sci-fi sections of our library. His most notable series that we have here at Palmer would be the Moon Base Alpha series, of which I did a First Chapter Friday last year with the first book, which is called Space Case. And he also wrote the Spy School series, which we have the whole series here at Palmer. So let's talk a little bit about this book. This book, when you read books by the same author, it's very, very common to see a lot of parallels between their writing style. And that is true with this book and specifically with Space Case from the Moon-Based Alpha series. There's very many similarities, but there's not so many that you're not still going to find this book interesting. Belly Up is about a 12-year-old boy, just like Space Case is. This boy's name is Teddy. And just like in Space Case, where our main character lived in an unusual place being the moon, in Belly Up, our main character lives in a amusement park called Fun Jungle, which is like basically a safari adventure kind of place in Texas. So Teddy lives here because his mother is a world-renowned primate scientist. She's studies gorillas, and his father is very, very well known for his animal photography. So because of his parents' careers, he actually lives in the middle of Fun Jungle. Immediately, right away at the beginning of this book, there is a murder, as you can probably infer by looking at the cover. The victim of the murder is a hippopotamus named Henry. Henry is terrible. Everybody hates him except for the spectators who come to see him. They all absolutely love him. But all of the employees, everybody associated with the park knows how horrible this hippo is. He's nasty. He bites people, tries to fire his fecal matter at the crowd when they come to see him. If you don't know what fecal matter is, that is a fancy word for poop. So he's basically just not a very great animal to have at a family-friendly theme park. Our main character, Teddy, spends the entire story trying to figure out who killed Henry, why they killed Henry, how they killed Henry. And as you can imagine, it's all tied into a much bigger picture with many, many twists and turns. So let's go ahead and jump into Belly Up, Chapter 1, which is called Henry Goes Belly Up. I'd just been busted for giving the chimpanzees water balloons when I heard something was wrong at Hippo River. Large Marge was the only one who caught me. No surprise there. Marge O'Malley was a security guard, but all she did most days was follow me around waiting for me to cause trouble. I saw her slinking after me all the time. She'd always try to hide behind rocks, trees, and stuff, but it was never hard to spot her because Marge was built like a rhinoceros. "You're in big trouble this time, Teddy," she snarled. She was making a big show of apprehending me in front of a crowd of tourists, shoving me up against the rail of the chimp exhibit and frisking me for weapons like I was a mugger in some urban back alley instead of a 12-year-old boy at Fun Jungle, the newest, most family-friendly theme park in the world. "Why don't you arrest some real criminals for once?" I asked. "Right now, you're the only person I see making trouble." "That's just because you're not paying attention." It was true. Half of the park guests broke the rules. There were signs posted everywhere telling them not to feed the animals or bang on the glass of their exhibits or harass them anyway. But they all did it anyhow. Only 10 feet from where Marge was patting me down, an entire family was pelting baby chimps with peanuts. They were trying to feed it, which would have been bad enough because the animals have very restricted diets to keep them from getting sick. But they were laughing every time they hit it. "Watch this," said the dad. "I bet I can hit him right in the head." Right as he was about to let it fly, though, a huge red water balloon sailed out of the chimp exhibit and nailed him in the face. It exploded on contact, drenching him. Before he could recover, another balloon hit him, and another and another. The chimps were fighting back, just as I'd hoped. That's why I'd armed them. If the security guards weren't going to protect the animals, then I figured I ought to help the animals protect themselves. After all, how would you like it if someone banged on your windows and chucked peanuts at you all day? Within seconds, the whole chimpanzee troop was lobbing balloons, howling with delight as they pelted the family from all sides. The family stumbled about, slipping in the water and spluttering for air, and now everyone was laughing at them. Well, everyone but Large Marge, who was born without a sense of humor. She whipped out her radio and alerted headquarters. "HQ, this is O'Malley. We have a water balloon situation at Monkey Mountain. I've apprehended the perpetrator, Mr. Theodore Fitzroy, but I need backup. Marge always spoke like she'd seen way too many cop movies. Never mind that, the dispatcher responded. Get over to Hippo River. We're getting reports that something's wrong there. Marge frowned, though not out of concern for the hippos. She was annoyed her request for backup had been ignored. I don't think you appreciate the magnitude of the situation here. This is coming straight from Buck, the dispatcher said, meaning Buck Grassley, the chief of Fun Jungle Security. Hippo River is a code red. If you're at Monkey Mountain, you're the closest to the scene, so get over there now. Marge snapped upright and jammed her radio back into its holster. The idea that there was an actual emergency had stirred something inside her. She grabbed my ear and dragged me toward the exit. Don't think this saves your bacon, mister. You're still in trouble for what you did to that poor family. That family ought to thank me, I told her. If I hadn't given the chimps water balloons, they would have thrown their poop. I wasn't making that up. I'd seen chimps defend themselves in the wild by throwing their own feces. But as usual, trying to explain anything to Marge was useless. Watch your language or I'll wash your mouth out with soap, she snapped. The family that had been bombarded with balloons stormed out of Monkey Mountain right behind us, so soaked that their shoes sloshed. See if we ever come to this park again, the mother announced indignantly. Good riddance, I thought with a stifling smile. The truth was, except for Marge's vice grip on my ear, I was happy to be heading to Hippo River. I wasn't sure what a code red meant, but it promised to be interesting. Maybe some clumsy tourist had fallen into the exhibit and needed to be rescued. Technically, that was probably a bad thing to hope for. Most people don't realize that hippos are actually the second most dangerous African animals. They're mean, they're unpredictable, and they have razor-sharp teeth that are a foot long. In the wild, they've been known to stomp lions to death, bite crocodiles in half. If someone fell into a hippo's territory, they'd be screwed. But after a few weeks at Fun Jungle, I was bored out of my skull and I was willing to take the excitement anywhere I could find it. Okay, guys, so again, Belly Up by Stuart Gibbs is found in our mystery section under GIB for Gibbs. I think a lot of you are going to enjoy this one. Happy reading.